So we finally come and we know there's no turning back. We finally made up our minds and there's no turning back. Oh, we've decided that Jesus is Lord of our lives at last. The decision that Jesus is Lord of our lives must last. So we finally come and
Welcome,
this time we're
everyone.
here to
Welcome,
stay.
everyone. Whether you're joining us by radio, TV, or through the World Wide Web, we are One Flesh Family Ministries International, and my name is Cynthia Gaylor. Today, my husband is here with me, the Reverend
Junior Scaler.
Okay, we're both glad to be here, and we want to say a big thank you to for affording us the opportunity to do what we love doing best and what God has given us to do. Today is November 8th. It's a very important day. You still have a few hours before the polls close, so if you need to vote, you need to get out and go vote. We're encouraging everyone to go out and let your voice be heard. Thank you.
And today we are going to talk on a very, very important subject. This is something that I think every married couple need to hear, but it's not only for married couples. This is this is a topic that fits in with anyone who is in a relationship, be it with your children, with your co-workers, with your schoolmates. We all have this problem. As long as we are humans and as long as we are in relationship, we will have this situation. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about conflict resolution, healthy conflict resolution. As long as we are humans, we are going to have conflicts with each other. Nations are in conflict with other nations. Tribes are in conflict. You just name it. As long as we are alive, that is part of the human existence. Human existence. And so we'll be talking today about practical ways to resolve conflict, especially in marriage, because our focus is on marriage and also on the family.
Yes.
So we will be attempting to, first of all, define conflict, look at the causes of conflict, the principles for resolving conflicts, and some useful tools that can be used. So, what is conflict?
Conflict is a state of disagreement or disharmony of ideas, views, wants, or desires between two or more people.
Now, many times when we think of the word conflict, we normally think that there has to be some physical battle. But once you have a disagreement, like how we've been seeing in the last 5, 6 months, the two parties with the different candidates running, and then people in the same home, one may be for one party, and then you have the other person for that other party, and people will have disagreement because we are different. You know, everybody, you cannot show me two persons that are identical. Okay,
Yeah.
and once you are different, because people are different, they will have different views, different different ways of saying things. There are so many different things, and so then, as long as you have differences, you will have conflict. Now, conflict is inevitable, as I have said. Okay, there's nothing as a conflict-free marriage. Uh-uh. No matter how much in love the two of you are, no matter how you all get along so well, there will come a time that conflict will spring out its ugly head. But conflict is not bad, really. It is good because conflict let the other person know what is going on in your heart, what are the thoughts, and when you have two married people who know how to have conflict, healthy uh, uh, healthy conflict, then that's where you then move to that level of intimacy when both parties other the freedom to state his or her view without fear. Okay, then that is when you are getting to that level of intimacy. So conflict is not really a bad thing. It just opening up the door for transparency, for honesty. But what causes conflict? Let us look at some of the things that will cause conflict.
Well, the first thing is that will cause conflict is that, as you earlier said, no two persons are alike. It's because we are different. Especially in a marriage situation, a man is just different from a woman. A man and woman are not the same. Their physical features, the way they think, the way they act, the way they do things, even their bodies, the way they're built, we're just different. And then the backgrounds too, that from which the man comes and the woman comes, is two different backgrounds. So definitely they're different.
And also, looking further, uh, we have talked about the love language.
Yes.
And so people feel love in different ways.
Yes.
And so that is one or other way where people may be different. If my love language is giving, or getting gifts, and if yours is time,
Quality time.
quality time, we are different. So if I try to give you gifts and you are looking for that, uh, quality time, and I say, but what more does she want? I'm buying her diamond rings. I'm doing, I got her a brand new car, and she's not happy. And because that is not your love language. And so then you may want, you may not want the diamond rings, but you may want quality time.
Exactly.
Okay? But one other cause of conflict would be expectations.
Yeah.
People enter into marriage expecting a lot of things. There may be some people who would say, oh, we are going to have a household full of children, but that is not in God's plan.
Exactly.
And so then there are no children, and then someone's expectations are not met, or someone may say, oh, I'm marrying this guy because he has a good job, and he will be able to take care of me, and right after marriage, he may lose his job and, and, and may have a rough time finding, some other job. And where you thought you will be living in style, and you find out that you are trying to make ends meet, and there are some people who just see marriage from a soap opera point of view. You live happily ever after, or one of those fairy tales where you get your white house, and you get the house and a little picket fence, and and everything. You got flower gardening, and everything is just fine. You are looking at those days when you were courting and everything was so pleasant, and then when you marry, there you then hit upon stumbling blocks. Another cause could be problems from your past.
Everyone gets into marriage. You have a history, you have a background, and not everyone really lived a sheltered life like me, a protected life. So many people go through hurts, and they carry their hurts from the past into their marriage relationship. For example, if a child were not being protected by the parents,
Mm-hmm.
and that child always felt disappointed when they came to parents keeping their promises, that child will begin to be insecure and mistrusting. And so
Exactly.
when that child gets married, that child will carry that type of mentality, that type of attitude into the marriage relationship. Or say, for example, a man who is divorced, or a wife, a woman who is divorced and remarried, and maybe the purpose or the reason for the divorce was that maybe somebody cheated, one cheated on the other, or one was really ill treated. So that attitude, that mental attitude is taken into the second marriage. And so when you see signs of maybe a spouse staying out late, you start thinking, oh, well,
Is it happening again?
yes,
All right.
the spouse that I divorced used to stay out late, and
Yeah.
he was cheating on me.
Right.
So then you start thinking that maybe that's what happened. So you come not leaving that behind, but bringing it into your marriage relationship, that mental attitude.
Another big problem is the question of ego and pride. There are certain people who will not admit when they are wrong and cannot say, I am sorry. Because there are three basic phrases that every married person needs to know. Sentences: I was wrong. I am sorry. Will you forgive me? And many times pride and ego will keep us from admitting that we are wrong, it will keep us from saying that we are sorry, and it will keep us from asking for forgiveness. And so but pride is a big thing, and right next to pride is selfishness. They are actually twin brothers. Uh, when when you are selfish and you always thinking about me, I, and you are so self-centered, and marriage doesn't call for that. It actually calls for being other focused, other centered, and that is where it calls, and that is love, because love is giving, love is sacrifice, and so you have to get rid of selfishness. You have to think about the welfare and the happiness of your partner. But then also, as you mentioned earlier, another problem is from insecurity. If you are coming from the background where you came up with very poor self-image, then you will always feel insecure, and that gives birth to jealousy. That gives birth to you feeling less than a person. And so then, one spouse senses that, and then guess what? They will always want to dominate. They will always want to be the one that will call the shots. And marriage is a place for equals, co-partners, and you are not supposed to feel insecure. And even where there is that tendency, then it is your partner's responsibility to give you that sense of security. That is to boost your ego and to let you know that you are number one on his or her list of priorities. Another thing is boundary violations. Many of us fail to set boundaries, but not only that, we also violate others' boundaries. And boundaries is basically talking about what is, what you will take and what you will not. You know, if you have a spouse that is in the habit of coming home at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning drunk, and he's banging on the door and waking up everybody, you have to set boundaries. You have to say, this is not acceptable. If you have a teenage child or someone around 13, 14 goes out and stay out until 11, 12 o'clock at night, that is not setting boundaries. So boundaries is one other area that if you fail to set the right kind of boundaries, that can easily lead to conflict. But then also there's the sin of one spouse or the sin of both spouses. For example, marital unfaithfulness. Sometimes one spouse starts cheating, and then the other one says, "Oh, if you're doing it, I will do it too." And
this is the saying, the common saying: if he is taking the front door, I'm taking the back door.
Right, or taking the window.
Okay.
but these are some of the things that would cause conflict. Now, as we have said, marital conflict is inevitable. Okay, and this is because you have two persons, two gender, background, personalities, love language, all of those different aspects coming to live together as one flesh. And there will be certain things that will happen if you are not careful. The first thing is that if one spouse is the kind of person that does not like to rock the boat, wants to give in, then pretty soon you will have the other spouse putting himself or herself in the dominating position. Okay, and then what you will have is that one person is being used as the doormat. All right. Another situation is when meaningful communication is absent. For you to understand each other, you have to communicate. For you to keep conflict at the minimum, you have to be able to communicate and let the other person know what is going on in your mind. And let me say this, I don't know of any, I don't know of anyone who is a mind reader, who can read the other person's mind. And so until you get to the point where you can verbalize your feelings, let your spouse know how you feel, and do not just say, oh, everything is fine, when inside you are boiling. Then you are not having healthy and meaningful communication. Okay? Or there are certain situations where things have gone wrong for so long that one or both spouses have given up. They just get to that state of saying that it is not worth it. It is not worth saving the relationship. And so they are more or less in the home as housemates.
Yes.
And that can be one of the most unhappy situations when you are living with someone who you really deep down inside you cannot stand. And many times people choose to stay because of the children, they say.
Exactly.
Or they may choose to stay because of social pressure and things like that. But and I am not advocating divorce, but I would say that as long as you have chosen to stay, then work on improving the relationship. Do not stay and just make the home into a war zone. So let's look now at the principles for resolving conflict.
Okay. There are 3 different levels for healthy conflict resolution. The first will be the biblical principles. Then you have the teamwork, collaboration. Like in the case of a basketball or football team, they all work together. Then you have exercising and exhibiting healthy communication skills. And lastly, we have certain tools that you can use to resolve conflict.
So let's look first at what the manual says.
Yes.
What does the Bible say? Okay.
Well, I want to give that verse, so if you have your Bible, you can find it. Comes from Matthew chapter 20, verses 24 to 28.
And basically, in that passage is saying that you got to learn to put others first. Okay, and that is a key doctrine of the Christian principles. I mean that's something is that do unto others as you have them do unto you. Okay, and so you have to get to that place where you do not always think about yourself. Try to put others first. The next thing is Philippians 2 verse 3 to 5 tells us that we have to have a Christ-like attitude.
That's right.
And we know that Christ was, or as I should say is, but when he was on this earth, he demonstrated selflessness.
Exactly.
He was always giving. He was always there to help others. He was always there to bring happiness and bring joy to others. And so we should have this Christ-like attitude, which basically calls for being sacrificial.
Exactly.
Okay? Then the next thing is Ephesians 4:29 tells us that we have to build each other up. It cannot be just a one-way street. It cannot be just one way. I'm doing all of the building up and you are there chilling, It has to be a mutual thing. It has to be, building up means that you are there to encourage each other. You are there to make each other feel that they are a useful part of the team. Okay? And there will be days when one is down, like even in our case, there are days when I just don't have it. It seems like I have no get up and go, and you will come and try to spark me up and try to cheer me up, and because we should be there for each other, and that is the essence of teamwork.
Okay.
But also James 1:19 tells us that we should be quick to listen. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And many times we tend to put our mouths into overdrive. We tend to talk, and many times as we're talking, if you and your partner are having what I like to call a moment of intense fellowship,
Yep.
many times you don't get to listen to what the other person is saying. You are so busy trying to formulate thoughts in your mind on how to hurt your partner. Okay? And so then you do not really get to listen. And so James is telling us we should be quick to listen.
The last principle, according to the Bible, and there could be several, but we're just looking at these, is to have a gentle answer. Say, grievous words stir up anger, according to Proverbs 15:1. A soft word turn away wrath.
And basically that is so true. Many times when you are in an argument or in a debate and one person is raising his voice or raising her voice, one of the best ways that you can counter that is that when when you sense that that person is going up, raising the voice and getting all heated up, you start lowering your voice, and pretty soon you will show to that person how foolish he or she seems, because he is yelling and and, and, and then you are keeping a calm, level tone, but be able to give gentle answers. Now, the next level is working together as a team, collaboration. Uh, Marriage is teamwork. Okay, uh, it is not a one-man show. It's just like as you have a basketball team or a soccer team or a football team, the members of the team do not turn around and score on their goalkeeper. Okay, you are working together for the benefit of the team. So then there are certain things, if you are going to work together as a team, then there are certain things that you need to do. And I will run through them very, very fast because we are just about to take our break. And then maybe after our break, we can talk more about those rules, about those things that you need to do. First, set ground rules before your disagreement. Sit and talk about how you will engage in your talk, especially when you have a disagreement. You should fight fair, avoid manipulation, silent treatment, and sarcasm. Pray for God's guidance. Maintain and respect boundaries. Seek mediation. That is when you all are at loggerheads and no one wants to give in. Show love and respect. Attack the problem rather than your spouse. Acknowledge contribution to the conflict. Each of us have a role to play in every conflict. Maybe it could be even 5%, but you have some part. Do not argue in front of your children, and use a time out when necessary. We will pause here now, and And when we come back, we will talk about some of those points that we have just read, and because some of them are very, very crucial for working together as a team.
So we finally come and we know there's no turning back. We finally made up our minds and there's no turning back. Oh, we've decided that Jesus is Lord of our lives at last. The decision that Jesus is Lord of our lives must last. So we finally come and this time we're here to stay. Oh, that means we're giving up the world and we've taken the cross to bear. And that means no turning back, no turning, no turning back. And no turning back, no turning, no turning back. And no turning back, though no one joins me, though no one follows anymore. No more turning back, may have to walk alone. Don't wanna lose my soul anymore. No more turning back, you may not join me, you may not follow anymore. No more turning back, may have to walk alone. Don't wanna lose my soul anymore. No more turning back, no turning, no turning back. No turning back, no turning, no turning back. No turning back. So you finally come and you know there's no turning back. You found a personal savior, a counselor. And that means you surrendered your dreams, your ambitions, your will, your all. That means you've given up the world and you've taken the cross to bear. And that means no turning back, no turning, no turning back. And no turning back, no turning, no turning back. And no turning back, though no one joins me, though no one follows anymore. No more turning back, may have to walk alone. Don't wanna lose my soul anymore. No more turning back, you may not join me, you may not follow anymore. No more turning back, may have to walk alone. Don't wanna lose my soul anymore. No more turning back, no turning, no turning back. No turning back, no turning, no turning back. No turning back, you heard me say, you heard me say, you heard me say, I'm not going back, I'm not going back, I gotta keep going on, got to make it in the number when the children are called to go home. I'm not going back, I'm not going back, I gotta keep going on, got to make it in the number when the children are called to go home. I'm not going back, I'm not going back, gotta keep going on, got to make it in the number when the children are called to go home. No more turning back. Heaven my home, I pray. Heaven my home, I pray. When the trumpet sounds and he calls on me, heaven my home, I go. Oh, heaven, heaven my home, I pray. Heaven my home, I pray. When the trumpet sounds and he calls on me, heaven my home, I go. Heaven my home, I pray. Heaven my home, I pray. When the trumpet sounds and he calls on me, heaven my home, I go. Many are called, but few are chosen. I know the King will call on me. The work of life is there to prove. To heaven my home I go. Many are called, but few are chosen. and I know the King will call on me. The book of life is there to prove. To heaven my home I go. Heaven my home I pray. Heaven my home I pray. When the trumpet sounds and he calls on me, heaven my home I go. Heaven my home I pray. Heaven my home I pray. When the trumpet sounds and he calls on me, heaven my home I go. Lift your eyes and look up to heaven. There's peace and joy for you and me. Clap your hands and praise the Lord. To heaven my home I go. Lift your eyes and look up to heaven. There's peace and joy for you and me. Clap your hands and praise the Lord. To heaven my home I go. Heaven my home I pray. Heaven my home I pray. When the trumpet sounds and he calls on me, heaven my home I go. I know one morning bright and fair, my earthly troubles I lay to rest. You look for me, but I won't be here, 'cause to heaven my home I go. I know one morning bright and fair, my earthly troubles I lay to rest. You look for me, but I won't be here, 'cause to heaven my home I go. Heaven my home I pray. Heaven my home I pray. When the trumpet sounds and he calls on me, heaven my home I go. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely? And long for my heaven and home. When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrows, and I know that He watches me. Oh Lord, I sing because I'm happy. Oh Lord, I sing because I'm free. Free, 'cause His eyes is on the itty bitty sparrows, and I know that He watches me. Whenever I am tempted, oh yes, whenever the clouds arise, and song is placed aside, when hope within me dies, I just draw a little closer to Him. Yes, good, it sets me free.
Welcome back. We're sure you had a short time to maybe run to the restroom or call your friends and text everyone else. We're discussing today healthy conflict resolution in marriage. And as we said earlier, you can use these skills not only for a couple, you can use it in your home as a family, you can use it with your workmates, your friends, and associates. So we were discussing on the second way to resolve conflict, working together as a team. In other words, we're saying you can collaborate. And we laid certain practical ways that you can collaborate. The first thing we said, you need to set the ground rule before an argument. Many times we don't discuss how we're going to fight fair. So when you lay the ground rules before argument, You can argue better and you can argue in the right mind. Also, we said you should fight fair, avoid manipulation, silent treatment, and sarcasm. And you pray for God's guidance. That should already be a part of your daily life anyway. Before the conflict happens, you need to be in constant contact with heaven and with your Heavenly Father, because He said the Holy Spirit will guide you into all truth. Remember, we talked about maintaining and respecting boundaries. And conflicts occur because people don't respect other people's boundaries. We talked about seeking mediation when you both cannot agree. Then you find someone else that you both respect to answer you.
And I want for us to just stay at this point for just a
Excuse me.
second or two. Uh, when you are seeking outside point of view mediation, that is, make sure that is someone you can confide in. You don't want to go and tell someone your problems and the next thing it is all over the place. Okay? It should be someone that both of you have mutual respect for. It should be someone also who has some kind of know-how, somebody who has wisdom. Now, many of us are in the habit of running to our pastors. Mind you, I'm not saying that pastors may not be able to help you solve your problem, but sometimes they are not skilled or they have not been trained in family uh, family matters, family ministry. And sadly, some of them have logs in their own eyes. And so they really cannot see clearly to, move the little speck that is there in your eye. And so you have to pray about who you go to for mediation.
Before we continue further talking about seeking mediation, I really wanted to come in and say, when you are married, you have your home. Your marriage is unequal footing as that of your parents. You may be struggling in years, but your marriage is a marriage, just as your parents' marriages also a marriage. Now, please, sisters, please, brothers, do not go and report or take your complaint about your spouse to the parents. And before I got married, my daddy told me, we love you, yes, but this is what he said. If your husband hurts you or ill treats you, I do not want to hear about it. And then when I got married, my mother-in-law, peace be to her ashes, she also told me the same thing. She said, you know, Cynthia, and her name was Cynthia too. If you and your husband having quarrel, don't take that quarrel to don't take that, she said, Cynthia, don't take that quarrel to your parents. And then I asked her, why, Mama, why? She said, you know what? When you and your husband are having your fuss and your little confusion, and you take it to your parents, you may forgive him down the road. But in the hearts of your parents, they may not forgive him. When they see him, they will always hold it against him how he ill treated you. So I said, thank you, Mama. That's a good advice. So if you're married, please, and even before you get married, do not take complaint of your girlfriend or boyfriend to the parents. They are fully matured. If you're old enough to have a boyfriend or girlfriend, or you're old enough to be married, do not go back to the parents. What you're actually telling the parents is that they didn't raise your child well in your eyes. So if you have conflict, don't go to the parents. Seek somebody else, but not the parents, please. And many people involve other relatives, into the conflict resolution. and they sit down and call a big family meeting. I think that's demeaning to the spouse involved. And I want to say disrespectful, but I think it also belittles the spouse because all the family members will know your business. And when you're married, you don't want all family members to know the dirty side of your relationship because everybody got a dirty side. You don't want it to know your little troubles. I mean, you can share with other people that you trust, but please, not with the family members. I wouldn't tell my sister. I wouldn't tell my brother because they have my interest at heart. So I'll pray and talk with somebody else that I can respect. Yeah.
Okay, moving along.
Uh-huh.
Another key thing is attack the problem rather than your spouse. Many times when things start to get heated, we tend to lose sight of the problem and we start attacking personalities and even to the point of then going to one's parents or one relatives and then there's the problem. It's not there's no focus on the problem and you are still at where you started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excuse me. And one very important thing is that do not let your anger or you are in control, you should be in control. Whenever there is a time that you and your spouse need to go and have some talk that would tend to get heated, please do not do it in front of your children. That's why there is something known as the bedroom. You can go in there, close the door, but try to resolve your issues or talk about your issues in the absence of your children. Because many times one or both parents will tend to lose control, and then the next thing you see curse coming out, and sometimes physical violence. And as you do that in front of your children, you are damaging them. You are putting emotional scars that these children carry into their own relationship when they get older. And could start, that could be the start of a vicious circle where they too will pass it on to their children and it goes on and on and on. So please do not argue in front of your children.
And you know, when parents argue in the presence of their children, I think it kind of put the children in a place where they may disrespect one or the other parent. And that especially for blended families and homes where you have cohabitation. I wanted to stress that point. Yeah.
That 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 is so true. Now, finally, one other thing is that there should, as you make your rules about how you going to um, how, how you going to carry out a disagreement when it does come around, make sure that in those set of rules that you put, there should be one that says that whosoever finds himself or find herself losing it, you should ask for a timeout. Take a break,
Uh-huh.
walk it, take a break, walk away from that situation before it gets out of hand. But whosoever called for that timeout, it cannot be a timeout that is indefinite. Make it as part of your rule that you must come back to that issue within 24 hours.
Yes.
Uh, Hopefully, by that time, temper would have simmered a little bit, and then you can get back to talking about the problems and not the personality. But let's move on to level number 3, and that is healthy communication. The first thing is stick to the subject. Don't go all around bringing other matters in. If there's a problem that has to do with finances, deal with finances. Don't go and talk about marital infidelity or problems with your in-laws or things like that. Stick to one issue at the time.
I
If
want to
it's
come in.
yes,
You know, we women, our brain run all over the place. And we associate one problem with the other. We don't have a clear cut defining line. This is one problem. So as we're speaking, we're bringing other things that we think are related to that problem.
but here's the thing: as you go about bringing other things in, then you lose focus of the matter that is at hand. So then you talking about one thing, you jump to one thing, and then you haven't dealt with that thing that you all started with. You jump to this other thing and jump to that other thing, and then at the end of the day, you have gone in a circle and haven't gone anywhere. So you have to discipline yourself to say, if we're talking about money and how to balance our checkbook, deal with that. And then, if that has to do with something else, then bring that other matter in as a separate topic. But if you just jump here, there, yonder, at the end of the day, you would have not gone anywhere. Next thing is listen before responding. Oh, we are so busy formulating in our minds how to say something that would be hurtful. And so someone is saying something and you are not really listening for just the opening sentence, and rather than you hear everything, you start formulating in your mind how you will respond. Listen to the person. Another thing is that do not start off with you statements. And you always act stingy with the money. You always do this or that, because once you start with the you, then you are putting your spouse into a defensive mode.
And
Because
accusatory.
exactly,
Never.
because you mean pointing finger. And so as you say you, then the next thing the person will say, what about you? And then you start attacking. So leave the you statement and start off with I. I feel disrespected when you do not call and you are running late for supper. Okay? That so you are letting your partner know what his or her action has generated as far as your feelings. But when you start off by saying you, then you are in that mode of attack, and then the person will then want to counter.
I want to share the story of David and Micah, his wife, which was Saul's daughter. David was dancing before the Lord when the ark was being returned to Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And as he danced, he removed his outer clothing, which is like the outer cloak. And he danced so happily. Now, Micah, being of, what would I say, royal class, high class, being a princess, because her daddy was the king, she didn't like how David was mingling with the common people. So when David got home, in fact, she saw him through the window.
And then attack him openly.
Thank you. And then
Okay.
when he got home, she didn't even wait for him to enter the home so that they could sit down, calm down, be in the right frame of mind to talk. But in her anger, in her all emotions were out there, she just burst at him. How has the king so disgraced himself as a vulgar person? I mean, what she was telling him, like, He was a rude guy, a vagabond, nobody, a useless person, a homeless person out there dancing with everybody else. She didn't like it. And David was so shocked because he came to bless his family. David had a good intention. He gave everybody gifts that day, cakes and raisins, and he blessed all Israel. He came home to bless his family, and before he could open his mouth with blessing, his wife attacked him in the public street, I may dare say, and said, "You disgraced yourself."
And then what happened?
David didn't talk to her. He went and called her father's name in it.
Exactly.
He said, "Wasn't it I was chosen before your father?" What did her father have to do with the issue?
Well, that is what we are doing.
She should have said, "When you dance in the street, you made me feel violated, or you made me feel repugnant."
Embarrassed.
Yes, okay, that's a better word.
Okay.
So, but she screamed at him.
But moving on, remain engaged with each other, and for you to do that, do not scream or yell. I have one beautiful way that a couple can talk without screaming or yelling at each other. Hold hands as you all talk, and promise each other that you will not squeeze each other's hands, neither will you let go of each other's hands. It's hard for you to be holding hands, touching, and then get to that place of anger, because touch neutralizes anger. Okay? And so if you all say, hey, if we're going to be talking about so and so topic, and we know that it could probably get out of hand, let us hold hands as we talk. But that will mean that you are engaged, and so no matter what, you will not leave each other's hands, neither will you squeeze it, because you will be holding someone's hands and be squeezing it. But just agree that you will hold each other's hands as you talk, all right? But one other thing, do not bring up the past. Get out of the resurrection business, okay? You will only bring up things that are in the past if those issues that you are bringing up have not been resolved. But we are teaching you on how to resolve each problem as they sprout up. So that there shouldn't be anything that is left under the rock, okay? And so do not keep bringing up things from the past. Once you have gone over that, you have settled that matter, then let it stay in the grave, okay? And do not criticize each other. If you must criticize, let it be constructive criticism. And one of the best ways for you to do it, point out the good before you look at the bad, okay? And do not just say, oh, you are lazy, and that is it. You can tell the person in the very same way, oh, you do something, around the home, but you could, I think I could use more help, okay, or something like that. But instead of just criticizing and say you are lazy and you do not do anything ever, because most times there's never a time that someone never or someone always. All right. So now we get to the last level, which is the communication tools, level number 4. And this is where when you and your spouse are having a talk, the first thing is that you have to get to understand them. Nothing matters until you understand what that person is trying to convey. So you can paraphrase, you can say, are you trying to say, or are you saying this, or in other words, you are saying X, Y, and Z, or do I understand you to say so? Let the person affirm that what he is trying to convey is what is going through your mental process. That's the first thing. You have to understand the person. After you have made clear, after it's clear that you understand the person, the next thing that you would want to do is let them know what is your reaction to what they have conveyed to you. And so then that is where you let your spouse know what feelings you have. I understand you have said this, and what you have said has generated, what you have said has generated this kind of feeling. I feel sad. I feel disrespected. I feel whatsoever. I feel happy. Okay, but first thing you have to understand. Next thing you then let the spouse know how that makes you feel, and finally you then let your request be made known. I would like for you to do X, Y, and Z. I would like so and so. So that way you are communicating in a healthy way. But many times we do not understand what the person is saying, and right away we are ready to assume. Make sure that you understand the person, and then you can then let them know what that makes you feel, and then before you can let your spouse know what you would like.
Let me give an example before we move on quickly. When I got married, I said I'm now a full grown woman, matured, and I'm on my own. So when I used to leave work at the time, I'll just come home. But before coming home, women, I go shopping. So when I get home, my husband will ask me, sweetheart, you ask me, why? I've been expecting you this time. You're just coming. I know you passed to the store. But you tell me that I would like you to call me when you're leaving work. And then in my head, I'm thinking, he just wants to be controlling. But then this is what he told me. He said, I know and I understand that you will come home safely. But he said, I am concerned about your safety. If it takes 10 minutes from you to leave work and come home, and after 15 minutes or 20 minutes I don't see you, I can go ahead and call the police. I can go ahead and call the police or take steps to getting towards where you are. So many times conflict come because we're not understanding the other party's thoughts or feelings. So when he told me that he was concerned for my safety, I felt better and I started calling him before I left work to say I'm on my way home. Yeah.
And one other tool, because we're running out of time, you must learn how to mirror. That is, reflect. And I just said that what was heard. But the second thing is that you must validate what the person said. You may not agree with what the person has said, but is that person's feelings, is that person thought? And so you must be able to validate what the person is saying, because for that person it is valid for him or her. And then the next thing is you must be able to empathize. And so you should try to get into that person's shoe and see it from their point of view. And so as we have given you these useful tools, we hope that you'll be able to put them into practice. And now I will ask my sweetheart, to just summarize as we come to the end of this presentation.
So today we've been discussing healthy conflict resolution in marriage, and we said conflict is natural. There's no marriage where you do not have conflicts. We have to be on guard against unhealthy conflict, and we need to collaborate, work together as a team to resolve conflict. We use the ABC or mirror, validate, empathize. I understand, I feel, I would like. And then we also said you practice your communication skills. Don't bring back old things. Don't press the recall button. Don't resurrect things that have already been dealt with. Stick to the issue. fight fair, set the ground rules, don't break boundaries. And according to Ephesians 4:29, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So remember, we are not competing. Family, we are a team. And I want to say thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Gospel Body Radio and TV around the world. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you to my sweetheart, the Reverend Junius L. Gaylor Sr. And I'm Cynthia Gaylor. Again, today is November 8th. In the United States of America, it's the day you go and let your voice be heard. You have a privilege, an opportunity, and a right to vote. We encourage you to get out there and go and vote. Your vote matters and your vote counts. So this is Cynthia Gaylor signing on.
And this is Junius Gaylor.
Thank
God bless
you.
you, and we see you next week.